First topic, what are our thoughts on ADKD? How did we feel? Tuna, tell me how you felt.
Jinx, the fight felt pretty good. Again, as we mentioned, we talked about it briefly yesterday during the stream. I like the fight. I wish it was a little bit different, but I understand that it can't because it's the new Katie. It's not a separate fight entirely. So if it were too different, we wouldn't be able to, get new people into it.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It is interesting that they decided to replace normal KT with this. Like, it makes sense. And, like, they did do a good job of making it, while, like, a bit more punishing to new players, also rewarding them more. So the changes to her actual, like, fighting mechanics, like the attack she does, her attack tempo, all those, like, normal Monster Hunter mechanics things, they are not very different at all. In fact, they're not different at all in Area 1 through 3. When you trigger the Fury state, she has 2 new moves, and that's pretty much it from what I've seen so far. There's maybe a third move, but we haven't seen it.
I've seen the ground pound, Behemoth style. I've seen the AT Xeno laser, and I've seen the tail swipe.
It feels a lot like how they kind of handled Octempered Xeno, because with Octempered Xeno, like, you actually had to fight Xeno now. Before with Xeno, you could flinch lock him so easily, you didn't really need to ever fight him. And same thing with KT, you could CC chain her and you didn't have to fight her. But now CC chaining is RIP, so you actually have to fight her in Area 4 now. And that makes the fight quite a bit different. The interesting thing is that they actually did a pretty good job, in my opinion, of handling how they did the siege mechanic changes that make the entire run feel very different because it's so core to how you run her.
What I like now is that it feels like you can get 16 people in there, all fighting at the same time, and it's better.
That actually is a good idea.
It's better. Whereas before, especially if you were doing P1s, having multiple people in your lobby was a detriment. If somebody finished first and somebody didn't get to break the horns, you were liable to put them at no rewards at all, which felt really bad.
Yeah, you are pretty well rewarded for having, like, a 16-person butt-sniffing lobby now.
Butt sniffing?
Like, doing 2-run sieges is very viable and also very good. P1s are still possible, and we're gonna be figuring out how to do P1s really efficiently, and we do know so far we have at least one case where a P1 has gotten basically max rewards, but it's gonna be a lot higher skill level required and coordination level required, so it's not the kind of thing that lots of groups can do with pickups or things like that. You'll need, like, an actual team, probably on voice comms, and actually working together to really get P1s grinded out like that.
Right.
So, next topic is, like, what are overall the big changes? We already kind of covered a lot of that, but to specifically cover one we just talked about, CC is super RIP now. Like, super RIP. All those videos on CC chaining are pretty much dead now, except for on PC until ATKT comes out. So basically, with Specialist on Heavy Bowgun, the first sleep takes 4 sleep 2s, and the first para takes 4 para 2s. The second sleep takes roughly 48 sleep 2s. Yes, 48 for 8s. I had to go restock once and get a crapload of spare shots to even get it. So I say roughly 48 because there was about 40 or 50 seconds of decay time in there, so maybe 47 or 46. Either way, not realistic to do. Like, even if you have 2 people dedicated to it, you're not guaranteed to get one. So, yeah, forget about CC chaining. You can do a 3 chain at the start of Area 4, and you probably should, but anything past that is super RIP.
And it could be something where if sleep bombing is a decent enough strat, maybe we could go in, like, 4 CC and sleep twice, double barrel, even triple bomb, and then all Farcaster back to swap to mounting weapons.
That is actually an interesting idea and something we will want to test, because that bombs, that's another thing, is that bombs and cannons do a lot more damage on her now. Bombardier 3 bomb will be dealing 556, I think? 550 something damage, which is a lot of damage. Like, Bombardier was already a huge damage to skill point return on investment in Area 4, but now it's even bigger, because she does have, it seems like she has slightly inflated health pools for all horns, but the bombs also have inflated damage. However, your weapon damage is not inflated, so it's even more return on investment now. You really need to be running Bombardier 3.
What I would like to see is that new CC heavy bowgun with a crit status. If we could run 4 of those and, get the quick sleep, double bomb, triple bomb, then get another quick sleep, because that should only be like 8 shots
yeah.
each. And maybe it's even possible to get 3 sleeps from that.
Oh god, no. If it scales like the old KTs did, the old KTs was, 2 sleeps, 11 sleeps, and then the next one was something around 30.
Oh, yeah, never mind.
So, yeah, you were talking like easily over 100 shots needed. By the time, even if you had the ammo and didn't have to restock on the team, the amount of time it takes to shoot that much ammo isn't worth it.
So, okay, 4 of those new crit status heavy bowguns with the status. We go in, get the first sleep. That's probably like 2 shots from everybody. Then go into the next one. That's less than 10 shots from everybody. Double bomb. Triple bomb even. Then Farcaster back.
Some clusters on the second wake up.
Farcaster back. And then come back with great swords. Or mounting weapons.
Interesting. That might actually be a little faster. We'd have to definitely test it. But yeah, that's an interesting strategy idea. Especially because the built-in crit status, throw an affinity booster, run like only sleep attack decos, plus a bunch of affinity, and you might be able to get it fairly quickly. Plus, let's say you do a triple bomb, right? So you get 6 bombs off on the first sleep, pop a second sleep. That means you have 3 bombs left to use anyway at that point, and then you can wake up with dropping clusters on the bombs. All of you just blow your clusters and then dip. That actually could definitely work. That might be a nice consistent strat. Yeah, we can definitely try that. Ideally, it would work best if we all had the new, was it Kajar?
Yeah.
Magma heavy bowgun.
Yeah. Since
it lacks the stickies, but we don't really need them.
Yeah, we're only going for the second sleep. We don't care if there's another KO.
I'm wondering still if that's even worth the investment time though, because you can still dump all of your bombs on the first mount. I guess if we come back though, we have bombs, so more bombs per mount. So yeah, that does make sense. Okay. Also, on the topic of CC, para knives and sleep knives are way more viable than they were now because you can only reliably get that first para and that first sleep. So it takes 6 sleep knives and 7 para knives from my count so far. We need to double check those, but around that. And that's not too much. Like, you basically just have 2 people make sure that they get about 7 knives each and split them up nicely, and you can easily get a sleep and a para and just run 4 DPS weapons. Ideally something that can KO, probably 2 to get a KO, but it's a lot more viable of a strat than it used to be now.
Now, how do we feel about new weapons? I guess not new weapons, but viable strategies with different weapons.
Oh yeah, Ice Dual Blades is kind of rip. Like, it can still be good if you're coordinated, because, like, from what we've seen from P1 runs that have come out from yesterday, it is pretty possible to fairly script a P1 and get I think it's like 5 CCs in and kill her during those CCs with a little bit of sniping in between. So, like, while dual blades can be used, they're a lot more higher IQ than they were previously. Like, your team has to actually be solid in order for you to be able to actually run Ice Dual Blades, and you can't run, like, all Ice Dual Blades anymore because you need a mounting weapon so badly.
Yeah.
You need mounting weapons. GS just got so much better against KT, because it's good at sniping the horns when she's fighting and moving around, it's good at mounting her, and it has good damage during the CC, and you, of course, have wake-up TCSs as well.
Right. Do we think Sword and Shield and GS are pretty much going to be mandatory now on ATKT for these mounting weapons?
Yeah, like, I would say that GS is going to be the go-to because it is, like, the lowest mechanical requirements to value you can get out of any of them. Like, it's basically the Moira of, like, Monster Hunter World against ATKT.
You take that back.
The mounts are super easy. The mounts are super easy to get. The snipes are super easy mechanically. You literally wait till she's done hitting, run up, press triangle, roll sheath, do it again. Like, it's compared to the other weapons, it's very mechanically simple to snipe the horns with, like, draw/snipes. And on downs, you basically just need to make sure you land a full charge TCS and you're good. Like, whatever else you fit in is cool, but as long as you land that full charge TCS, you've done your job for that down, pretty much. So it's definitely the least mechanically demanding out of all the options. SNS, like you said, is also really strong. It seems like you're going to be wanting to still run like a raw Joe SNS, because Falling Bash plus higher helm splitting damage means a lot more damage output, and the only thing about SNS is GS has a bit more flexibility in landing mounting hits too. SNS has to be very precise with mounting hits. So your team has to be really good at playing close enough to pillars that the SNS can actually land a good helm split.
Now, what about Insect Glaive?
IG sucks at mounting. It is amazing at beating on her, though. In my opinion, the two best sniping weapons in the game, like, just when I say sniping, I mean hitting her horns when she's attacking and moving around and fighting you, like when she's not CC'd in any way.
Okay.
So, IG and Longsword are the two best sniping weapons in the game, in my opinion. Switch Axe is pretty good too, but again, it's a bit more mechanically demanding just because of your hops, so you have to be careful not to get decked for it. But IG is really good because it has very high vertical reach, and the Rising / Tornado / combo is almost the exact perfect length of time to land it in between most of her attacks.
Okay.
Like, I run IG a lot as a DPS option, because when she does, like, her paw swipe attack, when she does her, like, bite attack, when she does her body slam attack, you can fit more in that fact, because it has a very long recovery time. But when she does a lot of her attacks, if you position well, you can easily land a Rising Slash into a Tornado Slash on her head, deal about 500 damage, and still roll away no problem. And on top of that, when she does, like, Lava Breath attacks, most other weapons, unless they're running, like, a Fireproof Mantle, they can't afford to, like, hit her head because they'll have to be standing in lava. IG can just aerial during that time, so it is actually free damage.
There's a discussion between Ice Bow and Insect Glaive. Ice Insect Glaive. I feel as though Insect Glaive is going to be more consistent because Katie's attacks do one-shot you even if you're Blade Master already.
Oh, actually, that's a good point too. Tonight, when we do runs, and in general, run Health Boost 3. Because even as a Blade Master, like Tuna just said, there are a lot of attacks that still one-shot you. Health Boost 3 is pretty recommended because it stops those from one-shotting you.
Right.
Her lava's gonna kill you so fast now. Don't stand in the lava. It kills you so much faster now.
Then I would suggest Temporal, and I was running Fire Mantle.
Yeah, Temporal Fireproof is good unless you're like Bo and want to run Impact Mantle. Speaking of Temporal, there is a strat we need to try tonight that's actually also really good. Probably only if like we do like a CC switch strat, but since we'll have so many extra bombs, you throw on Temporal, you run up to her face and you spam bombs. And she hits you and blows the bomb, but you're wearing Temporal, so you don't care, and you just... It's like the Behemoth Area 4 cheese strat where you run Tempura and you just spam bombs on him. Like, you can do the same thing to KT, but the bombs do so much more damage to KT than they do to Behemoth.
So what you're saying is Alchemy style.
Basically. Alchemy meta in Monster Hunter World. You heard it here first, folks.
Next thing, Fury State. Have we found really any kind of consistent data on that yet?
Okay, so... There's a thing we completely missed yesterday because we were, I guess, really squirrel-brained.
Katie brain.
Every time it was Katie brain plus just like general squirrel braining on my part. But anytime we got Fury State when I was watching back through the VODs, the Admiral tells us, I don't remember the exact text, but he basically says, "You've broken enough parts, go break her head, you derp." And that every time we've gotten that message, she has gone into Fury State. So it's definitely got a part break requirements, but it's not unique parts, because we've had runs where we've gotten max rewards, so we broke every single part, but we did not get we did not get the Fury State. So the current theory that I've been seeing going around a lot, that lines up a lot with a lot of the VODs I've seen, is that at least at higher pursuit levels, it's 15 broken parts before she releases.
So that's important to
in order
note,
to get
though,
her Fury
because
state.
people might be going in thinking you need to break one of every part.
You still do for reward's sake. I don't know if we actually know yet whether you have to break 7 unique parts or not. Like, that hasn't been fully confirmed yet. There's not been enough testing. There's, like, anecdote, but we need to do some hard testing to figure out if the 7 parts is required or not. Either way, it's genuinely kind of hard not to break all 7 parts, because she digs twice.
Right. It's just important to note that you need to break more than the parts that are available. Like, you have to break everything basically twice.
Exactly. And, like, we don't know if there are sub-conditions yet, because we do know that one for certain is a condition. We aren't 100% certain on, like, the counts of it, but we do know that when you break enough parts, the Admiral tells you, good job, you broke a bunch of stuff, now go hit the horns, you dummy. Basically, once you get that message, you know that you've hit the conditions for Fury State, but we don't know if there's also other sub-conditions yet. There might be and there might not be. It's something we'd have to, like, actually hard test, where we count part breaks, make sure we hit 15, and then don't do other things to see if there other conditions don't get triggered or not. All of this information just take with a grain of salt, because we just simply don't have enough data yet.
And apparently there is a vocal response from the commander, or the admiral, I'm sorry. It says, that's enough gold for our research, now go get those horns. That is the Fury State condition.
Okay, yeah.
Which we've got that before Area 4.
I never paid enough attention.
Well, I never pay attention to the voice prompts either, honestly.
Tunnel vision so hard. Yeah, well, we've learned to ignore them because they're just spamming them, and we farmed KT like 800, 1,000 times or something now. It's like the, what's it called?
Don't exaggerate, Jinx. It's only been 700,000 times.
Lol. It's called ad blindness. It's a thing that's been fairly heavily researched in website design, which is that certain banner positions on websites, people's brains are just trained to not pay attention to, because we know there are going to be ads there. So those are really bad places to put, like, menus or, like, calls to action or things that you want people to be able to see and to react to. And that's kind of been the case with all the voice prompts in KT. Our brains have just been trained to ignore them because we've seen them so many times. They don't give us any useful information.
Right. You already mentioned earlier, we dig twice. What about parts HP?
So, the parts HP doesn't feel higher to me, but it's also kind of hard to tell because we were pretty much exclusively running 3 light bow gun with me on dual blades, so that's like a ridiculously high damage comp.
It feels lighter. It felt like we were dealing more damage.
Yeah, to be honest, it felt the same or more damage, so I'm not really sure. I think part of it feeling like it was more damage, though, is a lot of our runs were lower pursuit level, and we're used to just running P1s. It never felt like it was more until we had that one run where we quick switched early, and then came to Area 4, and after 3 rock drops, for some reason we couldn't break the arm we were focusing. Because apparently we never damaged it the entire time or something, I don't know, but we struggled that one time, so it might just be that since we're running such a high damage comp, and like, we're actually, like, following Area 2 through for the most part now. Before, we'd always, hit a dig, hit 4 parts broken, and then go back and still have, like, a minute left, but we don't really, I guess, maybe remember that non-active time. So I'm sure the numbers are higher, it just doesn't feel like they're higher enough to make it too much more difficult.
Right.
On the dig twice thing, just to further elaborate on that, from what we've seen so far and what the community's seen so far, the moment you enter Area 2, she instantly digs. She'll roar and dig. What that means is that you do have to make her dig twice to release her in Area 4, or Area 3, sorry. But what that also means is if you want to hit 15 parts broken, to do it reliably, you have to break 4 parts in Area 1. And that's, like, hugely different. In Area 1, you generally didn't try or really break too many parts, but now you have to get 5 part breaks, or you might not be able to get Fury states. I mean, it's still possible for you to, if you get her to dig 3 times in Area 2, or if you break 2 parts at once to trigger a dig, but reliably you want to aim for getting 5 parts broken in Area 1. It doesn't have to be unique parts, just 5 parts period, in order to actually get Fury state at, like, a Pursuit 1.
Right. We need to try, because I don't know if we've tested this or not, but basically, Don't break any parts. See if she still digs the second she get in, because she might be reacting to the amount of parts we broke in Area 1. That's why she's digging in Area 2. We need to try that out. Basically not breaking anything and get her to Area 2 and see if she still digs.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because she might be reacting to our part breaks.
It might be difficult to not break parts because you have to deal damage in order for her to transition, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, see if you can just like only focus on the head or something.
Yeah, that's a good point. We can just like beat head only and get her to transition that way.
Rewards. You like them? You like the system?
The rewards? Yeah. Really like the reward system changes. So the biggest complaint that the community has always had for KT is how fucking difficult it is to get rare 8s and rare 7s. The new system has completely alleviated that, which is good because they added 95 weapons to the weapon pool, and they're all R8, so they better make it easier to get R8s. So basically, the big changes is that they added the rainbow boxes. And they also added incandescent weapons, rarity 7 weapons that are kind of like a purplish rainbow color. So incandescent weapons drop exclusively R8s and R7s from what we've seen, and gold boxes seem to have a pretty decent chance to get incandescent weapons. I've gotten a lot of incandescent weapons. On a good ATKT run, it's not uncommon for me to have anywhere from 5 to 7 incandescent weapon rolls. The rainbow boxes are the most interesting part of the reward system change. So basically, there are 3 components that we've noticed that give rainbow boxes. First is your reward level. Reward level 17 gets 2 boxes, which, you know, for lower pursuit level, does kind of incentivize you to actually break the tail and get all the reward points. Rewards 15 through 16 get 1 box. We have no idea about 14 or below because we haven't gotten 14 or below yet. It's actually genuinely really hard to get level 14 rewards now if you break the horns. The other is the single siege bonus. So this one's super weird, and the translation is super weird. On the Japanese stream or something, they had the English translation, and it wasn't accurate, but even the actual Japanese words, from what I've heard from people who speak Japanese, also don't explain jack shit. So yeah. We've been doing testing, and so far what we've noticed is that if at any point you triple carts and fail the quest, you don't get this bonus, even if you complete the siege later on. And if at any point you return from quest, like you want to pick up tracks and leave, you don't get this reward, so you can't do that anymore. If you want to do like higher pursuit level butt sniffing strats, you basically have to follow her, pick up tracks, and wait a minimum of 8 minutes for her to leave by herself in Area 1 in order to be able to do that strategy now. And if you also, I've been told by a lot of other people, I haven't tried it personally, if you enter a lobby that's not at Pursuit 1 and join the quest, you don't get these 2 box rewards. Also, side note, if you fail to trigger Fury State in Pursuit level 1 and clear her as normal KT, you still get these 2 box rewards, as long as, you know, the other conditions are met. And then the other one is break horns in Fury State. This one is super weird. So, I mean, obviously, you get into Fury State and you break her horns. But the thing is, you get either 2 or 4 boxes. We have zero idea what gives you 2 boxes versus 4 boxes. Because we've gotten 4 boxes at Pursuit level 4, Pursuit level 5. A lot of people we've talked to have gotten them around 5 and 4 as well. We've gotten a tiny few, I think, at Pursuit 6. I'm not sure, I have to look back at footage, but I think we did. And also, one of my squad mates has a recording. If you haven't seen Jin Farai's run with some of our squad mates, check out Jin Farai's channel and watch it, because he gets 7 gold rainbow boxes, because he gets 4 boxes on Pursuit level 1. So it's not pursuit level related, unless it's bugged. And we don't know what gets you those 4 boxes yet, but we need to find out, because that's huge. Those 2 extra boxes per run is a big deal. So yeah, no idea what causes it yet. There's theories flying everywhere. I simply think we don't have enough data yet. Like, we need a few more days, if not weeks, to figure out, to have enough data, enough footage to scrub through and just find and isolate the factors that cause this to happen. But yeah, so max rewards you can get is 8. and that's only achievable if you break the tail. New weapons. So the new weapons are interesting because they made them exclusively elemental and status weapons. What this means is that our raw weapons are still our raw weapons. The Joe, Diablos, whatever weapon choices are still the best. In terms of elemental, it's kind of a case-by-case basis. So just to start off with, all the new weapons come with built-in crit element or crit status, respectively. And that is really good because, like, the crit elements armor pieces are so inefficient compared to the power creep we've happened. However, a lot of the stats don't look that great. Which means that even though you can not run Wrath Armor and run, let's say, like, you get 2 more crit boost and, like, 3 more crit eye out of it, it sometimes looks like it's still not worth it because the stats are too low.
Trying to think of examples. I think we were talking about maybe some of the bows are pretty much going to be, until we get way more efficient slot pieces,
yeah.
And even then, what more efficiency do you need in our bow sets?
Well, the issue with bow is that bow damage is so heavily reliant on your base it's so heavily reliant on your base element, because element has a hard cap. And unlike things like affinity and other EFR increasing stats that you can keep throwing in extra multipliers, you don't have that much to do for your effective elements, and your base element is the biggest factor next to crit elements. The problem with the bows is, except for the ice bow and maybe the water bow, they all have really bad base element, like 240 across the board otherwise. And that's really bad. Like, even if you can fit in a bunch more, like, crit boost and attack boost 4 or 5 or 6 and crit eye 7 on those builds, it's very likely they'll still deal less damage because bow has the hardest split next to light bowgun for elemental damage to raw damage. So increasing your raw damage doesn't give you that bigger returns.
Now, have we seen how far you can boost them up, though?
No, I haven't actually put any builds together. However, there are set rules on how elemental attack increases. So, like, it's basically an extra 30% of the base amount rounded. So on 240, I believe that's 72, so they should cap at... So yeah, they should cap at around 310 or 300, depending on how they calculate the rounding for that, which is not a lot for bow. Like, that's the base amount for most of the current bows we have right now, and they get another 30% on top of that.
Okay.
So, like, the ice bow has 330 ice, so it may end up being good. The Legiana has 390 ice at base, so it's not as big of a gap. And it does have higher roll, but for that one, at the end of the day, we're gonna have to actually make builds, see the EFR, see the EFE, and then compare that to, like, common hit zone value breakpoints for monsters, and see which one just deals more damage. It's the kind elemental damage is the kind of thing you can't just, like, compare one stat. You have to actually calculate the damage against the monster to see if it's better or not.
Now, I think dual blades are gonna get the biggest buff out of this.
It's kind of the same situation with dual blades, where they have lower elements, but they have higher ability to get EFR because they don't have to invest in crit elements, and because the weapons also have fairly decent raw stats. And for dual blades, the elemental split is like 70-30 raw elements or 80-20. So higher EFR actually gives you fairly decent returns on dual blades. But it's close enough on first glance that we have to actually compare builds and hit zone value breakpoints to see which does work better. Like, it looks like all of the dual blades now are getting the, Again, the KT Spark versus, like, Dual Destroyers situation going on, where you have the Dual Destroyers, that's this very very skill-heavy investment, but high base elements. Dual Blades, that uses free elements, but has huge elemental damage, while the Spark has really high EFR, but really low elemental damage. So it looks like all of the different Dual Blades are getting that kind of comparison now, and it's going to be a case-by-case basis. Or more so, it's just going to be a matter of us actually crunching the numbers to see which, at the end of the day, does deal more damage.
So what do you think about... what do you think about Crit Aerial, Crit Element, Master's Touch, Insect Glaive? On Luna.
Funny thing is that I didn't even think about that, but this is giving us, like, the best case scenario for Crit Element IG. because you can run Crit Element and Elemental Airborne and Master's Touched all together finally.
Yeah.
It's still Elemental IG. On Luna, maybe it'll make enough of a difference.
Are you saying you don't like the aerial helicopter element build?
Hey, you play what you enjoy, right? Like, if you enjoy doing something, then, like, play it. It's a game. But just don't have delusions that you're dealing higher damage than the more efficient playstyles, is all I'm saying.
You're
if
no
you
fun.
like Dragon Piercer. Just don't think you're dealing more damage than Elemental Bow or pretty much every other weapon in the game.
Don't be rude.
It's not rude, it's math. But actually, real quick, on the IGs, that's a really good point.
Yep.
That's another case where we'll have to compare it like side by side, but IG already had fringe cases where, like against Tio, for example, your Crit Element Water IG could slightly outdamage the Blows IG. These new Elemental IGs present that as a possibility for a lot of the matchups now, but it is going to be a case-by-case basis. The biggest thing about IG, this new Para IG is busted. Like, it's the Para Switch Axe of Para IGs. It's great.
Really?
Like, it has Nergi Lunar's stats, like, I think to the dots, same roll, same affinity, same sharpness, but it has 210 paralysis with crit status built in. That's really good, because that means it can hit a really competitive EFR while also having, like, very nice paralysis. So it's gonna be, like, I wouldn't say outside of, like, Odo and Diablos, you won't really see TA runs with it necessarily, but it's gonna be a really good generalist option for IG.
It all depends on how ugly it looks for me.
Good point.
Vice Master Race.
Lol. But yeah, there's a few other weapons, like, we have to talk about the ICB.
Let's talk about Charge Blades.
So none of them are good, except for the ICB. Well, the other ones might be good. They're kind of very minor upgrades. They're like 300 base element instead of the classic 240 or 260, so it might swing some of the matchups a little bit. Like, I mean, the new Thunder CB is still the one you're probably gonna end up willing to use against KT. But the ICB is fucking busted. It is so
Slam
busted.
Desk. Slam desk.
Like, they almost doubled the ice elements compared to Giga Frost. It's 480 base ice elements. That shit hits like 300 on SAAD files on KT. 300 tuna. But yeah, like, we're talking, if it's around 300, 6 times that is 1800, plus your SAAD excellent, like, it hits really nice EFR as well. Natural white, decent rolled, good affinity, plus you don't have to invest in crit elements. Well, you wouldn't anyway, but also crit element adding about, I think it's like adding about 50 damage per hit on KT. And then you also have the fact that you can just run Dragon Master's Touch now as well if you want, or Razor Sharp, or whatever you want to run. And, like, you're talking, like, probably easily around 2,500 damage on a good SAD on KT's heads. Like, this shit it's so busted. I don't think it's gonna be good for Luna, because the reality is that Luna, you need to get trips, and Luna's leg hit zone values for ice are pretty low, 15 for back legs, 10 for front legs, chest is like 10 as well, I think, or body rather. The head and the tail are and the wings are the really only good ice weak points, but you don't aim for those with CB, because if you just spam them on the head, you're not really going to land a lot of files on it, and on top of that, you're not going to get trips, so she'll supernova, so I don't think it's going to be that great against Luna. I might be proven wrong, but it just doesn't seem like it's going to be worth not running Diablos. But against Tio has 25 hit zone values, and against Diablos, it's going to destroy them. It is going to turn them into giant icy pulps that some guy in a boxing montage is gonna put on a meat hook and punch to get better at hitting things and win a gold belt and the championship and I know sports. Anyway.
Get the ball to the thing! Win!
Get the ball to the thing! Our team's number 1 in points! Yeah, so, it's busted. I don't I'm trying to remember if there are any other light bow guns. Like, pretty much every one of the new elemental light bow guns, a new meta light bow gun for elemental, because they have crit element built in, so you can run them with Octip and Xeno for spare shot, and they just end up being a bit more efficient than the current sets. It's not a huge upgrade, but they are an upgrade.
Still, spare shot on anything
guns,
is great.
True. Heavy bowguns, water is probably the new Pierce gun. It has the same stats as Legion and support, but I think it has higher base stats. I didn't do a direct comparison, but I think it's slightly better. Other than that, they're elemental heavy bowguns. Like light bowgun does elemental ammo better, but if you like elemental heavy bowgun, they're a slight upgrade as well. Otherwise, the new stat is heavy bowgun's disappointing. It looks really good until you realize it doesn't have sticky ammo.
Right. And that's so disappointing, but I still think we might be able to try that with our strat. I think that might work.
Yeah, like it might work for that niche strat. I do want to try it if we can get it, but let's see. Let's just go down the list here. Did Bo, did IG, did CB, SA, nothing really looks good. I've been told that the new para is worse than the old para. I haven't done a direct comparison yet, but I believe it. Gunlands. The para looks pretty good because it's a normal 4 shelling, but it has very high para with crit status. So since you're going to be doing like swinging with your normal 4 combo, you can definitely get some paras off with that. Might be nice. I don't really Gunlance enough to know.
We'll check with Zan.
Exactly. Like, we'll check with Zan about the Gunlances. They're all level 4 shelling, so they're definitely viable. I don't know if they're going to be best in slot, though. We're going to have to talk with Zan about that. Lance, Claws King, Elemental Lance isn't that great. Maybe it will beat it in matchups, though. We'll have to see. We'll have to crunch numbers. Hunting Horn, I have no idea. I haven't seen the song lists, and I don't play Horn, so we'll just wait until Hunting Horn mains tell us. Hammer, Elemental Hammer, lol. SNS. Crit element SNSs. Looks like they're going to be slight upgrades as well. Again, same thing with DB. Is going to have to compare numbers.
There's just so much EFR needed in Sword and Shield play that I think it'll make a difference. So
it's very likely to.
Being able to use Behemoth and crit element.
Definitely true.
Nuts.
Longsword. Helm Split or Helm Breaker has a 0.3 elemental modifier, so elemental longsword is not good. Unfortunately, your Helm Split is such a good chunk of your damage. You gimp it too hard running elemental damage. So I would still say keep them because I would bet money that when Iceborne comes out and they hopefully introduce new hunter moves, they give Longsword a move that makes elemental longsword better. So I would say hold on to everything just in case Iceborne new movesets change up the meta. Greatsword, gas powered stick.
Well, okay, so hold on. Well, what if you leave Helm Splitter out of the equation or Helm Breaker out of the equation? What is it good enough?
Oh, probably. Like,
because it's similar to, think about it this way. It's similar to the way that you do Sword and Shield, right? You play a completely different kind of Sword and Shield if you're doing raw versus...
The problem is that there isn't really a good replacement for... Like, you have your Spirit combo, right?
Right.
You have your Spirit combo, which does good damage. Your Helm Breaker does a lot more damage, especially for motion value per second. And there isn't too good... And is also is arguably safer because you can know the openings to fit it and fit it perfectly in those openings. Like, if you do a no Helm Breaker playstyle, then it's an option. But the bigger issue with Elemental Longsword, Spirit level scales your raw. It does not scale your element. Even if the damage is close or the Elemental Longsword wins at, like, whites or 0 Spirit level, once you hit that juicy bonus at red Spirit level, your raw's gonna win. So I kind of doubt the new longswords are gonna have... You'd have to have an insanely high amount of elemental damage to make up that difference. I don't think the new longswords have it.
Like 500?
Yeah, so like 480, like the ICB. But yeah, you need a lot. So I don't think they will. I mean, I may end up doing some comparisons, but like there are plenty enough longsword mains out there in longsword speedrunning, so I'm sure are gonna be crunching numbers, so might just let them do it.
What do you mean longsword main? You beat Behemoth with one.
Yeah, once.
Twice, so actually. What about armor? I think that the legs are gonna be the new standard for probably like Behemoth with AT KD legs for AT Xeno.
Yeah, for Octopus Xeno, definitely. Heat Guard, it's efficient Heat Guard. Like, it's absolutely worth it if you need to run Heat Guard.
I think the waste might be able to see some use. 3-slot, crit boost, and weakness exploit. I think it might be able to see some use on, who knows? Something. But I feel like we might get something with it.
Maybe on some, like, quality of life Octopetio sets. I don't think this is gonna, any of these are going to change the Metahemoth, like, pure deep set, but if you want to run, like, health boost, Bombardier, extra levels of guard, stuff like that, some of these may get seen in those.
Because I don't really like the waste Draken. I don't really like the waste at all.
Like, how it looks, or just stats?
Just, I don't know. I feel like the power prolonger is a waste on a lot of things.
It is.
And so the slot efficiency can be
piece.
fixed somewhere.
The waist and the head are the worst piece of Draken. That's why it's the one we normally replace for a 4-piece Draken set. Like, you either use Nergi Helm, or you use Kush Waist, or you use Lunar Chest because you need the peak performance, because Lunar Chest is just stupidly efficient.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to think, what if we did like a Teogama with like KD Waist and maybe like a Draken Chest? Or something like that. I don't know. I mean, I need to mess around with some stuff, but I'm trying to think if maybe we can move away from needing Draken and still having like crit element.
Not yet.
I want to move away from Draken so bad.
I know, but it's not enough power creep yet.
I need to get away.
I can't remember the exact like slot efficiency comparison between Draken and KT Gamma. If I remember correctly, you trade a level 3 deco for 2 level 1s, but don't quote me on that. I'd have to look at them again.
But it might be good for like something that doesn't already need a lot of crit eye. So maybe Claw Lance? I don't know.
Well, something that doesn't need a lot of like if you're running a TO Hemoth, a Meta TO set, you will at minimum have 4 crit eye on the build. Like, it comes with at minimum 4 crit eye. Because you can switch the arms out for TO Alpha.
Right.
So, like, we already don't use the Draken Waste on that anyway, because it's not that efficient a piece. It's not, like, the top efficiency piece. Like, we normally run something like Kush Gamma or something instead on the Waste.
I think I'm mostly looking at like some Sword and Shield stuff. I have some ideas for some Sword and Shield stuff that I think could work.
It's good when you want to squeeze in non-damage skills at the end of the day. Like, it may end up being good for the slot flexibility, but none of these really change the damage meta that much.
Yeah. That
I've seen so far. It's possible that maybe the Agitator piece will be used, but I'm kind of doubting it because both Tio Gamma and Draken legs are way too good. Isn't Agitator in the feet? I can't remember.
Yeah, Agitator is in the head as well, I think. I know for sure there's another piece that has Agitator in it. I know that.
Let's just instead of derping around, actually look up the.
Well, I'm gonna pull up the tweet from Hex. Just give me a minute. I've got it right here. So we've got Agitator in the chest, but it's only 1 point. And Agitator might, the chest might actually be decent. I mean, that's two pieces of handicraft, 1 Agitator, and a 1 slot. It's not super good, but
it's not great.
The the head might be good for something. Power prolonger. What needs power prolonger?
Nothing.
Nothing really.
It's a low return on investment quality of life skill. Like, it's nice to have for free on like Charge Blade and IG and stuff, but nothing really needs it. It's not a core skill.
There's not much that needs handicraft and constitution.
That's dual blades, I guess.
I mean, maybe
Lance, maybe for a meme build I could see it, but
so I think the best pieces are gonna be the waist and the legs, but as you said, the legs are just
like the other leg choices are just so good.
So, but for Arc-Tempered Xeno, I think the legs will work.
Yeah, like, I will say that for Agitator builds, the legs may end up being good, but I don't think they'll be good enough to necessarily either see use or really make a big dent.
I'm really excited to see this is obviously in the future, but I'm excited to see what we can do with Agitator when Nerg comes out, but that's another video for another day.
Yeah, because, like, the issue with the the Call of Gamma legs is that if you compare them to like the Nergi helm for like a 4-piece dragon with an agitator peak performance set on like Nergi Luna or whatever, it has a level 3 slot instead of a level 1 slot versus the Nergi helm. However, the issue is that since you have to equip the Draken helm piece instead of the Draken legs, which are just a lot more efficient, you end up losing, I think it's a level 3 slot and a level 1 slot, or just a level 3 slot, but you end up losing a slot compared to it, so it ends up being like a net negative. And that's part of the problem, is that I was hoping they would be putting some really good power creep into the waist and head pieces, because those are kind of the parts that need it. And like the Kolv head may be good for some quality of life builds, because it has like it has the best slottage in the game right now next to the Xeno arms. Actually, no, the Xeno arms has better slottage, doesn't it? Anyway, it has decent slottage, so it might be useful for something like that, but none of this really shakes too much up. Like you said, the waist might see some use in some builds, but only builds that need more level 2-3 skills, and they need level 1 skills, because we have most of the one. It's basically trading 2 level 1 slot efficiency for a level 3 slot compared to like current meta options.
Any closing thoughts? We can get over and we can start doing some ATKT. So
keep in mind that everything that is said here and in general is still pending. We are literally less than 24 hours into ATKT at this point. Anything you hear is probably gonna be wrong.
I wouldn't say
yeah, no, not everything, but it is extremely possible for anything said to be wrong. So just keep that in mind. We ran into this a lot when KT, like, it feels like when KT first dropped again, except for we have a bit more base information. But when KT first dropped, like, misinformation was everywhere. Reddit was on fire. Everyone was trading their favorite pet theories and pushing them as truth. Like I said, for like 2 months or something, we all thought that you released her from like damaging her a bunch, which would end up being true, but not the main way you release her, because then we figured out the dig plus 5 parts area 3 thing. And like everything you hear, take with a not just a grain of salt, but with a freaking handful of it, because
just eat the whole Milton can. Morton.
Like, it's not even possible for us to be fully accurate right now, because we simply don't have enough data. We haven't had enough runs to analyze. We haven't had enough time to test and do A/B split testing on different runs to figure out what mechanics are. Like, we just don't have enough information yet. Don't take anything as truth just yet, and, like, have fun. It's a fun fight. It's a new fight, definitely. It's got interesting new mechanics, and the grinds, at least until things get refined and we figure out really box efficient P1 strats and everything. Like, it can take a while to grind each run, but it is worth it, because those new rainbow boxes like really fixed the like high level weapon RNG issues we had. Like, you are getting so many R8s and 7s now. So many. Okay. Bye guys. Bye stream. Bye peeps. See ya later. See you in the next one. Got a lot of videos coming out on this, I promise you.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of videos.